Now, guys, listen, I know what you're thinking. Holy hell, he is quite the artist. You're probably wondering now, why have I got a painted canvas of Shrek? And why is there a horse canvas like over here? Yeah, we dressed up as Bob Ross on stream last night and done some paintings. But I don't think that's what you're here for today. You're here to see what it's like being a British person in America. Before we jump into this, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank your faces for doing all the good stuff here on the channel, doing the likes, doing the subscriptions. You guys are awesome. I love it. I love these videos. I love you. We're growing a great community here. And I'm learning so much about you guys in the comments box down below. I read every comment every single night. It's one of the things I actually look forward to. I'm a nerd, man, but I love it. Okay, now let's jump in.
A question that I get asked quite often is, what's it like being a British person living in America? And it's sort of a hard question to answer in many ways because, I've lived here for 13 years. And so I almost sort of struggle to remember what it was like living in Britain as a British person.
Shite. I can tell you that. Garbage.
Because this right here, right now, is my reality and has been for now well over a decade. But to the best of my ability, I can recall and think that, being a Brit living in America is a sort of unusual experience in many ways.
Yeah.
You do spend a lot of that early time, especially if you live in a kind of smallish city in Indiana where there aren't too many British people congregating. You will get quite a lot of questions about your accent.
Do you guys ever think you could move? Like, could you ever picture yourself living in a different country? If you're probably living in America right now, but could you picture living in the UK? Could you picture living in anywhere in Europe? Let me know. If so, where?
And I kind of liked that, to be honest. As an introvert, because it was kind of an icebreaker, and so if you're stuck for things to say and you don't want to resort to, isn't the weather terrible again today, it's sort of nice that people clock your accent.
Yo.
I can see how it would get annoying for a lot of
the oh my goodness, it's so true though, isn't it? Why does everyone talk about the weather when they don't know what to say? Oh, I gotta love it, man. Human awkwardness, bro.
I really quite enjoyed it. And that would usually consist of Americans asking me to say words like tomato or water or squirrel or things like that. Basically, you're a performing monkey.
True.
Just for a little bit. And that's fine. I didn't get paid for it, sadly.
Okay.
I should say that since I've moved to Chicago, I don't really get those questions very often anymore. And I think it's just down to the fact that Chicago is a bit more of a cosmopolitan area. It's not so unusual to encounter somebody with an accent, specifically in this case, a British accent. So in many ways, that's sad. And I have to think of other things now to say to people. And it usually is about the weather. So, I've regressed. But, that isn't the entirety of the experience here. I think that a lot of Americans, when they speak to me, they're not asking about the accent as such. They might clock it. They might realize that I'm from England, but they don't take that line of questioning any further. They might ask, though, about the history of my country or a specific episode within that history. One thing that was coming up a few years ago all the time was,
I'll be honest, I don't think I could live anywhere else. It's because simply just because I'm a home bird. I don't think I could move abroad and just live there permanently, like Lawerence has done. I don't think I could do that, man. I feel like I'm too locked in to where I am, right by the coast. Don't think I can move, man. I mean, America's much more beautiful than where I live, but it's home though, isn't it?
Extraordinary that they found King Richard III underneath a car park. No American ever said car park, but you get the general picture.
Parking lot.
And I responded with, yes, it is amazing. It is amazing. I'm looking back at my country now with this newfound sense of kind of pride, because I'm looking at it with these Americans, maybe more astounded about a news event like
I would not be doing that
than I would have been had I lived in England, I think. And
I would not be doing that.
It still astounds me that they found a brutal dictator underneath a Ford Capri.
Is that actually true?
One of the obvious things, and something that I talk about on my channel, is not the sort of the thing that brings you together, but it's the differences, of course, that make living here as a Brit quite confusing at times. Now, when I moved here, I've said this before, I made it my goal, my mission, I think, in many ways, to embrace the lifestyle around me and the things that I encountered. But sometimes, even in...
You have to, though, don't you? Because you're making such a big change if you go and move abroad to somewhere without opening your mind to accepting that the way they live is going to be different, the way they do things is going to be different. You have to. You got to do that, or it's not going to work out, bro. You ain't going to be happy.
That there was a sense of uncertainty. You know, you'd hear concepts and phrases that you've never heard of. And these can consist, of course, of words, spellings, pronunciation, but we could also be talking about food, as I do, you know, routinely on my channel, but also just things to do with everyday life. I think it's a testament to just how widespread all of the differences are between our two countries that I've been able to make a living out of talking about them for 6 years. And I haven't stopped yet. There's still so much more to get to grips with on this subject. And you could be forgiven for thinking that, oh, Lawerence has lived here for 13 years. He's surely learned everything now.
Nope.
But I don't. I learn new things every day. Like, you know, it was only this year that I found out that my wife and Americans in general pronounce centrifugal as centrifugal, which blew my mind.
What?
You know, because it's not a word I use every day for obvious reasons. You know, that kind of thing still comes up to this day.
How has that happened? I just don't get how things can be so the same but so different at the same time in certain aspects of, like, between the UK and America, man. What happened in between the pond, bro? Like, why has that body of water changed so much shit, man?
Okay, so you never stop learning, that's for sure.
What is that bird?
But I would say this, I would say two things. You know, enjoy it for what it is. You know, I encounter so many British people who move here who just sort of long for the things that they've left behind in Britain, even though you can just get them shipped here. It is more expensive to do that, granted. But I would just say, no, if you're going to live here, you might as well try to enjoy it.
Exactly.
Right? So that's exactly what I do.
You got it, man.
And the other thing is, use your accent to your advantage. Americans incorrectly believe that I'm somehow intelligent, and that's been very useful for selling this channel. But when they find out the truth, I'm on borrowed time. Mostly it's light-hearted. I don't use it in a kind of vindictive or mean way. I'm just very aware that when, you know, I speak to people, there's a certain connotation that comes with that, whether it's true or not. And in most cases,
like, it's always going to be the first thing, though, isn't it? It's always going to be like the first sentence or question from anybody in America when they talk to this guy for the first time. They're going to hear the accent first, and then boom, straight away they're like, "Oh, you're a Brit." And then the conversation
really
rolls from there, right? The green screen, you gotta love it.
I think at the end of the day, you know, we joke about the sort of communication barrier between our two countries, but at least you're not learning a whole new language. And so, you know, you are going to a place that's somewhat like Britain in terms of that. You know, for all of its alienness, it's not 100% alien. But you know what is 100% alien? The film Alien, which was brought to us, as it happens, by a joint British and American production crew. I don't really know why I'm mentioning this, other than to point out the fact that when Brits and Americans work together, we can produce greatness and an even better sequel. So all that to say...
Also, anybody who believes in aliens in here, man, let me know in the comments box down below.
Stay tuned for my next video. I'm Lawerence Brown. You can follow me on Twitter.
W again for Lawerence, man. I love this guy's videos so much. That's the way he puts his wee stories across. He's a good guy, brother. He's a good guy. Like I said, moving to the US would be very hard for me to do, man. I don't think I could do it. Realistically, right now, if I was talking in reality, impossible, because I just had a baby girl. I know it doesn't make things impossible. It just wouldn't work out. It just wouldn't be right. But like, even still, I mean, I love the US. I've been once, absolutely loved it. Favorite place I've ever been to. My home is my home. You know what I mean? And I feel like you guys probably feel the same way. I suppose it doesn't really matter where you are. Home is home, man. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the reaction video. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't yet. And you have yourself a great weekend.